We are Was It Good? What do Westworld, Tiger King, and Star Wars, The Clone Wars have in common? I, your host Ravi, and my two brothers are talking about them all in this action-packed episode. They have drama, laughter, tears, robots, everything you could ever want. So let's jump right into it.
I just realized I forgot to put our names in that intro.
Well,
so we're just your two brothers.
My two brothers, Christian and Arjuna. Welcome to another fan-fucking-tastic Was It Good?
Ooh.
How do we feel today?
Good. A slightly different format, huh?
Different format, yeah. For those who are unaware, we are trying out a weekly format where we consistently discuss the things that we are watching for the week. As Ravi said, this week it's Westworld, Clone Wars, Tiger King, and a couple other discussions and fun things sprinkled in. So this is exciting. This is 70-plus episodes in, and we're changing it up. Yep. I like it.
Because I can do whatever I want. So let's start with Westworld.
He thinks this is his podcast.
Let's start with Westworld because that was obviously the most recent thing to have been consumed visually and audibly by us. What did we think? Like one word. If you had to sum up the episode in a one-word impression,
You're going back.
I can do what I can. We're doing it how I want to do it. I just want you guys to just redo the episode with one word, real quick. Go. It doesn't have to be crazy. Just how would you kind of recap that episode?
I would say the episode was boinkers.
Boinkers. I like that.
Yeah, I'll go with boinkers. Obviously, spoiler alert. Mostly because of the big reveal. The big reveal being, for this whole season so far, we've been trying to guess who's in each host, who's in Charlotte, who's in Scarface from Sons of Anarchy, who is in the newly introduced guy from Shogun World. I forget his name. Sato?
Yeah, I think it's
something
well,
like
we're calling him Shogun World Samurai.
It's Shogun World Samurai. And it turns out it's all the same fucking person. Dolores. And that was boinkers to me because I didn't see that coming. I was legitimately surprised. Somebody did mention, it might have been Ravi, a few weeks ago, what if Charlotte Hale is Dolores?
Yep.
And, at that time I was like, nah, that can't be. That won't go that way. The fact that it's everyone, I think, is bold. Also, just want to point out, that means Dolores was spooning herself in the infamous spooning scene.
Correct. It wasn't her dad.
It wasn't her dad. It wasn't Abernathy. It wasn't Teddy.
It was even worse.
Yeah.
Somehow.
No, yeah, you're right. It was.
She was
worse.
also going to kill herself.
Well, yeah. But it also makes sense. She expects more of herself. She doesn't expect her to show that weakness. So that whole interaction makes more sense to me now.
The real question now coming off of that is, like, how do these clones work? Is it Dolores from different times? Like, is it like, these are hosts, right? They're basically computer files. Is it like an autosave to a certain point in her lifetime, or is it just like literal duplicates at the time of when she left?
Well, there's not just that, but then she can also go in and kind of manipulate who these people are, right? Like there's personality traits, right? And then these people, like let's say she did do an exact copy, and it's her up until the moment of leaving the island, right? And then now the main Dolores, or the original Dolores, the OG Dolores, is inputting these into various bodies or whatever. That second that they wake up in that new body, they're different. Right? They're radically different. Not only that, but she's also inputting information about who they're taking over, like Tessa Thompson's character, right?
Charlotte Hale.
They like some of that character, that individual's personality traits are in that new Charlotte Hale Dolores version, right? Just like Sons of Anarchy Man's version is different. Just like Shogun World, Dolores is obviously different as well.
Right.
So.
Yeah, which is interesting. I think that we've already seen it has implications with Charlotte Hale's character. She has like a minor breakdown when episode 2. Like, where she's like, I feel the personality trying to break through, the mother figure.
And she's been cutting herself. Remember that whole episode we talked about it when she takes down the predator, and she has the line, which now makes sense to you. Like, she's like, you reminded me that I'm a predator. So that was very much when we saw season 2 Dolores, right? When she was kind of the cold-blooded, the Wyatt personality, right? When she's this cold-blooded murderer.
And that's a great... Actually, a good point. The Wyatt character is Dolores. It's a radicalized version. So we know, just like people in general, we all have various like faces and sides, right? Like how you interact at work, to how you interact with family, to like significant others. It's all different. And if you hone in on those personality traits, there's a different person essentially.
And the all the character arcs that have ever been programmed into her, they're still there, right? She's still a computer. So like that is part of what she's probably digging into, or the different versions of her digging into all these different storylines and interactions and all the characters that she's been over the years.
Right.
Well, the different faces. Like
I would have to imagine, though, that Dolores has kind of put in some kind of restrictions into these particular ones so that their like ego and their like quote God complex that main OG Dolores clearly has doesn't override, and they're like, actually, fuck you, OG Dolores.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in charge now. Like, I'm sure there's some kind of safety net there because, if you as an individual have like a God complex problem, the last thing you want to do is make more of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that you would think that they have at some point that would bite you in the ass.
One question I do have, and I guess I can make this my one word impression, is my one word's going to be Maeve. And the reason it's going to be Maeve is because...
That's not a word.
Maeve?
Yeah, it is a word.
It's a name.
It's a name.
Yeah, it's still a word, though.
No.
A name is a word. But
No.
is that Maeve still has, it appears, her God machine powers, right? Where she can just kind of hack into machines and change them at will, as we saw that she had in Westworld Season 2. Does that mean, does Dolores have those same powers as well? Does she not? And have those powers really ever been explained as just being like I'm a god?
I think for where we're at right now with Season 3 of Westworld and with Maeve and how kind of overall this season is kind of going, this will be my one word / one phrase or whatever is bananas. Actually, yeah, one word, bananas. And what I mean by that is like we're getting a lot. The first 2 episodes, very fucking slow. Like, come on, I'm bored out of my mind. And then all of a sudden we're ramping up like crazy. So when it comes to like Maeve's special abilities and stuff, plot device. It's just there to like push the fucking story ahead and just speed shit up. And also, I think we need Maeve to be on an equal level to Dolores because like all of the pre-campaign marketing for this, everything that's been kind of said, everything is gearing up for that big, disgusting, weird robot on robot battle that is going to happen. So I think Maeve needs some kind of like one up on Dolores, and if that's going to be special god computing powers compared to the army of Dolores.
Yeah.
Like, here's a crazy ass theory right now, because I was right about the last one. Here's my new one. This season is going to end with the murder of Dolores, but guess what? She's not dead because of these other fucking.
Well, we still have
thingamajigs.
one more Dolores pearl and one more Dolores, or one more host for that pearl to be in. We only have 4 Doloreses.
Ooh, another theory. Actually, Aaron Paul's character, Caleb.
Dolores.
No,
that's a
why
cop-out.
the well? Here's
Cop out.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the question, right? Like you said this a while ago, and your insane theory of like this is future world. Caleb is just a host, right? He has like
No. Caleb is a guest.
Caleb is a guest. But going back to like that whole future world and stuff like that, and like the plot armor that he clearly has, it would make sense that all of a sudden like Dolores is teaming up with some rando human. Why she's doing this? Like, forget the theory of that Caleb is Dolores. We still don't understand why she's utilizing him. Like, she's been doing great so far, and in this episode, this is the first episode where Caleb has kind of been like doing his own thing, like helping out and like being an asset. But even if we all of a sudden go in and kind of remove Caleb's character beyond the fact of like transitioning all the money, which she could have just coerced anybody, it seems like, into doing, there's not a whole lot of like need for him.
I actually got more, like, I feel like my theory kind of, you guys feel like my theory kind of died this week, but with Caleb being a guest, I actually got super big parallels this week to young William in season 1 and
It's
Dolores.
William.
Because it almost, the stories almost mirror each other, right? This guy, obviously William knows he's in a park, but he gets wrapped up in this adventure with Dolores and goes on this wild adventure thing, right? And he actually knows Dolores is a robot, but he falls for this allure that she's real, and then he's devastated when she's reset the next day, right? Caleb doesn't know that she's a robot, right? and is wrapped up. And is equally and similarly got wrapped up in this story of her. She's broken his cycle, right? She broke William's cycle of being a good man and being somebody else. Same thing with Caleb now. And you're just seeing him go on this adventure where he's just pulled into this story plot and the storyline, and he's holding people, at will at gun, and he doesn't even know what he's doing. Right? He has no idea any of these people are robots. Like Bernard's like, he's like, "Oh, are you one of them?" He's like, "One of what?" And it's just like, oh, like it almost. You guys are probably like, it probably isn't that theory, but there's so much evidence towards it,
Or at
there's
least
so much feeling towards it, more parallel.
I don't know if it's evidence or if it's like you're supposed to think of that, so that at the end Dolores can give this bullshit speech about why she kept him around, which is, I have to, keep at least one part of humanity in, so I know what I'm doing. It's gonna end up being some stupid fucking bullshit speech at the end, like, to destroy humanity, I have to know humanity. And to know humanity, I have to keep one of you in my inner circle. It's going to be something stupid like that. That's why he's around.
The other one...
I don't have high hopes for this.
The other one that doesn't make any sense still is, like, their whole reasoning for Bernard. Like, she brought him back, gave him a body, and said, shoo, go on your way.
Stop me.
Knowing, basically, like, knowing, like, it goes back to that crazy short story, right, about the man who discovered the best animal to hunt, which was human beings, right? Like, that a human being... The game, yeah. A human being can be dangerous, right? It's going to adapt, and ultimately that's the hunter's end or whatever. Is like, one of his hunted hunts him, essentially, whatever. But it's like the same idea. Is like, I don't understand the reasoning as to like why Bernard's around. Like the Bernard thing is a weird thing. The Aaron Paul, the Caleb character, is a weird thing. It just doesn't fit into anything right now. So it's kind of like yeah.
But don't you think Westworld will kind of answer those questions by the end of the season?
Or they'll they'll have dangling threads for season 4.
Yeah, either
which
that
is annoying.
Either that or they'll throw so many other fucking things in our face, we'll forget about.
So I want to read a great tweet I found today. Westworld is the new Lost. If you like it, you'll defend every crazy, weird thing about it as groundbreaking originality and creative genius.
No.
If you don't like it, you have a ton of fodder to point out why it's ridiculous circus that has no idea what it's doing. Yeah. What is the link between Lost and Westworld?
J.J. Abrams.
They're both produced by J.J. Abrams.
Tim Hines.
Yes, that tweet was from Tim Hines.
Oh, is that Tim Hines?
Yeah.
Wow.
Shout out to Tim Hines.
That's actually a
great point, great observation.
Great tweet, Tim.
Was great.
I mean, the thing with JJ, right? Like, Julian has said this. So Julian, friend of the podcast.
He doesn't have the fucking balls.
Yeah, basically, like, J.J. Abrams, Star Wars is a really good example of, like, what the fuck is happening. Like, Star Trek Beyond... Star Trek Into Darkness, like, the fuck is happening? Like, these storylines and these things just happen, and then they're just kind of thrown under the rug or they're wrapped up. I'm hopeful, though, that, like, it's Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy. Are not going to allow that. And they do, I don't know if you guys have watched there's a YouTube component to this where they kind of, like, go and answer some Q&A questions, and they've been very, like, open and direct. And they even said before the season, like went into premiere or whatever, they were like, we're going to make sure that this is cohesive and it makes sense, because it's like, yeah, you can create a billion storylines and then you get this thing called Game of Thrones syndrome. And then you just fucking
forget about half the storylines. You forget about them.
Yeah.
Or you wrote yourself into a corner, and so you ignore them, hoping that no one will remember that those storylines existed.
Well, there's two other storylines that we haven't mentioned yet that I'm curious to get your thoughts on. Divergence once again plays a big part in this episode, and Sarek, our mysterious antagonist of the season,
he shoots a motherfucker in the head.
So he's your favorite character?
Yes.
Wow. He's the most annoying, and he's the worst part about this season.
Is it because he's French?
No.
Because that's racist.
No, but it's just like, oh my god, here we go, another sinister bad guy, another sinister human who feels like he can do whatever he wants. I'm just like, at some point, these characters are just becoming, to me, very cardboard, stale generic cliches. Like what? Like there's nothing.
Sure.
There's nothing about them outside of their main motivations and how they go about doing it. I'm just like, God damn it.
So if there's an episode, like episode 5 is a Sarek-centric episode where
Oh, we'll see his childhood. I'm like, oh,
well,
fucking
we
great,
did
great.
we did see his childhood.
Yeah,
he saw
oh.
Paris nuked, which is another thing of like, why the fuck do you nuke? Like, I'm not a fan of Paris. I'll just say that, but still, I would not nuke the fucking country or the city. What
here-
the
That's a
fuck?
nice
Here's
city.
a
I
scenario.
liked it.
Maybe it's
No, I
the,
wouldn't.
maybe it's the epicenter of a pandemic, and they were like, well, just to wipe out the pandemic at its source, we just go ahead and take it out.
I'm sorry, Greg.
There's a lot of reasons you can.
We're in a
people
world.
will come up with. reasons.
We're in a world where there is a pandemic.
Yes.
Is your solution to nuke fucking cities?
No.
Psychopath.
That is never my solution.
Speaking
Never
of
mind.
pandemics,
I'm just-
actually,
people are dumb enough to believe that.
Patrick Stewart, the star of Picard, recently came out and said they will not be addressing like the integrating the pandemic into season 2 at all. He's like, it's way too real. We won't do that.
Also, isn't Star Trek way in the future? I mean, why would?
Yeah, but sci-fi has always been a pusher of reflecting what's going on in society.
Yeah, you got to give it 70 years. Like,
No. If I had to get, we're going to side tangent here. I mean, Picard wrapped up season 1 actually last week,
or 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
It's
now.
hard to tell.
It was very bad, very bad. It was probably one of the worst seasons of science fiction I've ever seen in my
God,
life.
that's saying something because you watch Doctor Who.
I need. We've done enough podcasts where I feel like you've had that statement at least 5 times.
I have never said
Doctor
a
Who,
series. A series
Star
is the
Trek,
worst.
Discovery.
No, you
series,
said- you
an
said-
episode,
you-
sure.
No, you
not
said
a
it-
fucking
you said-
series.
You said it a few. Discover. You've said it a few times.
Anyway, back to like the Picard stuff real quick. I would say, granted of our current situation, we don't know what is happening, right? And one of the things, and we're jumping around here, but you the listener, are smart enough to kind of keep our incoherent
We're
thoughts
weekly now.
coherent. We know that currently, like things like the coronavirus are already affecting production, right? We already know that shows have stopped, right? There's the big one. What's the Fox one? Is it Empire?
Empire decided recently that I think they had like 2 or 3 episodes left to film in their final season, and they just decided, nope, we're not going to be able to get everyone together.
I would say, let's rephrase it. It wasn't they just decided. It was because of the situation.
Sure.
They were forced
Yeah.
into a situation where we want to wrap up the story. We're out of because the thing is it's not like it's in the film and television industry. It's not like the budget is frozen until the crisis is over. The budget disappears at some point.
And guess what? Contracts are up, right?
Yes.
And Empire is notorious for having an ensemble cast that is very expensive and would be very difficult just from a budgetary standpoint to make 1 or 2 more episodes. Get these people who are very busy actors, and guess what? All their other productions are paused. So when you have to battle with other studios to get their time for 2-3 episodes, maybe a year or 2 later.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense, right? Like you said, now you have to balance what you want creatively. Finances are obviously a big thing. There's just a ton to figure out there.
And that's the thing is with Westworld, bringing it back and everything with what's happening with coronavirus and everything. Do we think that a season 4 of Westworld happens in the next 3 years?
I'm gonna say
That is my insane.
I'm gonna say
drop.
no, just because first off, this season's ratings aren't very good. Like the ratings for each season have gone down, and that might be because there's a 2-year gap between. I think also this season has taken it out of its setting, right, of being in Westworld.
Bold move.
And that's gonna alienate a lot of fans, and I think it has. And so I don't think the show is a lock to get a 4th season to begin. And I think if it does, I think it's more than 3 years away because it's been 2 years between each season.
Yeah.
Now you have that delay. It's going to be hard to get everybody together.
I agree.
That makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'll take you one step further.
Sure.
If ratings don't improve drastically, this is the last season.
Wow, you think this show gets canned? And to
Yeah.
his
That's what I
point,
just said.
It's a perfect storm of events for really good shows to get canned. Right? Ratings aren't good, and at a time when shows should be killing it. There's nothing else for anyone to be doing. And second, it takes so long, and we honestly don't know how long that this thing is gonna happen for. right? And I'm not just talking about Westworld. I'm talking about a lot of good popular shows might be getting canceled.
And another factor, businesses are losing tons of money. Like everything across the board is losing money, right? So businesses
have to shrink,
including networks, are going to have to make cuts, right?
Yeah.
We know Westworld is a very expensive show.
Very,
I think it's the most expensive show ever made, right?
No.
Was that Game of Thrones?
No. There's a few. HBO has.
I'm pretty sure
like,
it's the
all
top
of them,
5.
but
Yeah.
I don't think Westworld is.
Westworld's definitely not like the
What
most
was
expensive,
the
but
James McAvoy show that they're making? His Dark Materials.
Dark Material? Yes.
That was like really expensive.
I don't know what that is.
And so was Pretty Little Liars, which had the
So
ensemble.
based on that, Hollywood television, they'll be making cuts. So they'll be going through obviously and figuring things out. Arjuna, your time here has been great. We're gonna have to let you go. We need to make some cuts.
Wow, that's a social clip. Junior just got fired on live podcast.
Well, I would just like to thank the Academy for this.
It's not an
award.
Wait, what?
You said I just won an award, right?
Yeah, no.
I'm in a state of shock.
Real quick, because I do want to jump into a couple other things, obviously, that we have going on this week. We have the Clone Wars. We also have that really fucked up show, Tiger King.
Joe Exotic.
Before we jump to that, though, with Westworld, let's kind of jump back into the episode. Not all go doom and gloom here. Man in Black finally made a fucking appearance.
Can I start with this one?
Go for it.
What was the point? Honestly,
Oh
the
man,
fuck?
this is hilarious.
This if we did
You just
favorite
went full Christian.
if we did favorite and least favorite parts, this would be my least favorite part because the character has there's no point to his story or anything. He should not appear ever again in the show. It's sad.
I have two rebuttals. Number one, we know that the character for the Man in Black, William, he lives to a future where it's very sandy.
Well, that's the host, William.
That's the host one, but we know that the character, the entity, whatever, lives to that point. So we need between now and whenever that is, filler for that.
Yeah.
So that's where his entire part was just that. And then number two, the payoff of the whole Dolores is everyone
The reveal,
works way better when you incorporate him because of who he is to Dolores.
Now, to both of your points, because you're both right in my opinion, it was extremely forced. And the reason it was forced was to get to the payoff.
Yes.
Which I think was worth it. I enjoyed seeing the payoff. But it's so clear to me, though, that the only reason that he was there
What's for that payoff?
was for the payoff of the reveal to be the foil to the reveal that Charlotte Hale is Dolores, and Dolores and William go way
real
back.
quick. I just want to get your thoughts. Does he appear ever again in this season or this show?
Yes.
I don't see how.
I don't see how either.
He is tied into
Sarek,
and that entire.
but he's
realm.
mentally he's put away. His thing is done.
Sure, but the thing with that character though is like he's done a lot of shitty things, and he got to where he is in a position of power because he had that will. William had the will. So I think he's not done. Like mentally, sure, he's in a weird, fucked up place right now. But I could definitely see his arc going from like sadness and sorrow to like just pure fucking revenge.
Revenge /
anger.
redemption. That's the way you have to go with the character.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know about you guys, but like I saw that character and I was like, yeah, he's a shitty human being, but you still feel like, yeah, that kind of sucks, bro. Especially when like your product fucking turns on you. I mean, that's like my iPhone locking me up in a psych ward.
Yeah, it's hard to feel too bad though. He made his own bed. Every bad thing that's happened to him is almost directly by his own
the
hand.
question is, did he or is he being controlled? Has his life been mapped out for him? That was the question that was mapped out.
That was posed to him. Sure.
That was that's the whole point of this divergent storyline and alternate timeline.
The only reason that question is being presented is because people want that to be the case. Right, people want an excuse for their shitty behavior.
Yep.
Oh, I'm controlled. It's not me. Am I me? Well, at the end of the day, right?
Doesn't matter.
People are going to be responsible for their own own shit.
I'm gonna hit you, and it was control.
Yeah, exactly. You
Boom.
Mom made you do that.
I mean, that's nature versus nurture. That's
Yeah.
different.
No, it's the same thing.
No, it's the same thing.
People
I
will
would
literally
say-
blame.
whoa.
Oh, my genetics is why I'm overweight, or it's all kinds of reasons. Like
I think he just attacked you.
You personally attacked me. You just call me fat.
I mean, I was talking more about myself, to be honest. But
okay.
Did you see my Fat Friday on? No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Plug it.
Plug this Friday. Check it out. I'll be eating not 1, not 2, but 3 1-pound chocolate bunnies in honor of Easter.
And that can be found on twitch.tv/wasitgood. Why
Plug.
we haven't changed the name of the Twitch channel, don't ask me.
We might.
We might.
We might.
Again.
All right, so before we jump out of the whole Westworld thing, two things. Host bodies and cores, real quick. Dolores, body and core, Dolores.
Dolores?
Dolores.
Dolores.
Hale is Christian, is Charlotte Hale. It's obviously Dolores. Sons of Anarchy guy is Dolores. The Shogun World Samurai, Dolores. And there's still one body unaccounted for, but I believe it is Caleb. That is my theory.
I think
right
it's
now.
Bernard.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah, here's a fucked up thing, right? What if Bernard is also Dolores?
He is.
Here's a more fucked up thought. What if
She
we're
is.
all Dolores?
We are all Dolores.
We are all Dolores.
We are all. I am Dolores. It's like Spartacus. That's even Spartacus.
Do you guys with Divergence? Do you guys think we're getting to the point where something we're watching is like this divergence and is like one possible timeline?
Absolutely.
And I think someone mentioned it last week. It's going to be like Dallas, where it's like, and it was all a dream, and it all wasn't real.
I would be super annoyed because I don't think I'm mentally prepared. Once again, I'm going back to like, I don't know about you guys, but like TV shows right now, I feel very like I care even less right now.
Sure.
So if they were to pull like a fast one on me where it's like, oh, it was all a dream, but like, cool, I'm never coming back to this show ever again.
You want to know why you care less now?
Why?
Because you're relying on it more for entertainment.
That makes sense.
And now we have even higher expectations for these shows and
Yeah.
for the media we're consuming, to the point now where it's like, if you don't give me the best thing I've ever seen, I'm good.
I think it's a little different. I think it's because of what we're going through right now. These sort of epic, dark future, apocalyptic kind of things need to really nail it because it feels a little bit too close to home.
Yeah.
Which is why this might be a good pivot. Things like Tiger King are killing it right now because that is a total escape from what we're going through. We're just gonna watch some zany people do some zany, crazy shit. And you can forget about your problems for a while because other people clearly have bigger issues.
well, before we get there, Krishna,
I tried.
real quick, Arjuna, was that Westworld episode good?
I'm actually going to go with a yes
Okay.
after all of that, because I did enjoy all of the characters finally meeting and all the characters actually being in the episode.
Sex party.
As Krishna tweeted out, he said, like, of
You
course,
tweeted this out.
Well, I tweeted out Krishna's quote of, yeah, of course, they all meet at a sex party.
That's true.
So I did like that. That's more of what I want to see. I do think there is
Sex
more-
parties?
No, not the sex parties. more of the main characters kind of interacting and seeing where the story is going. I do think we are picking up a little bit from where we started. And this wasn't the worst episode of the season, and I did enjoy it. So I will say yes. I thought it was good, had flaws, but I still did enjoy it. Krishna, was the episode good of Westworld, the season episode?
Yeah, as much as I've been shitting on Westworld for the last 45 minutes, it was good. I thought Man in Black was, even though it was forced, I enjoyed. It's almost like he picked up right where he left off, right, and that was refreshing to me because it's like a callback to better times in the show. I enjoyed it. I actually liked the reveal with Dolores. I thought at first, as soon as it happened, I was like, "Oh, this is stupid." But then I thought about it. And I was like, "No, I like it. I didn't see it coming."
And you know what? It makes sense. It's
Yeah.
not one of those twists where it's like, this makes no sense.
Right.
It makes complete sense.
Yeah.
It makes complete sense. that
If you want
Dolores
something done right,
would clone
you gotta
herself.
do it yourself.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. So I thought, yeah, it made sense.
Yeah. Ravi, was Westworld Season 3, Episode 4 good?
You already don't have to do the whole fucking title. Like, they get it.
Read the title.
What is
Krishna,
fricking?
Krishna,
The frickin'.
Google the title and
I'm
read
not
it as
going
well.
to do that.
Yes, it was good. It was one of the better episodes. 3 is still my favorite. Then probably this episode 4. So shifting gears here, let's get into another series where people have identical copies, but they're bred for war.
Robots as well.
And
Transformers?
Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Season 7, the last season, supposedly. I mean, they've said this 3 fucking times at this point. I have no idea. I'll just start right now. Like, the newest episode came on Disney Plus, and this new episode came out, maybe a day or two after the big Disney furlough news came out, where Disney's furlonging a bunch of their employees.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys familiar with the term furlough?
And so it's they're not getting paid because they're not going to be doing any work, but they get to retain their benefits.
Correct. So
I
you're
believe
not.
that's what you told me.
Yes.
3 days ago.
Yeah. So it's not that like they're fired or let go or anything like that. It's exactly what you just said.
No work, no money, but you still have health insurance.
Right.
Which is
And
not
it
bad.
seems like, and I think this is interesting, right? Because this whole thing with Corona is affecting companies, specifically entertainment companies like hardcore. Like, we can't gather as people to do stuff. So how are you going to continue making stuff? Or how are consumers going to go to stores or go to theme parks? So I thought that was kind of crazy. With, obviously, the Clone Wars, it's one of their flagship Disney Plus shows. It was kind of the big reason personally that I was even interested in Disney Plus. And so far, the first two arcs of Clone Wars Season 7 were interesting. And then we got...
Well, it's first one arc.
One arc, yes, thank you.
The Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch arc, which was amazing. It was great. I was like, Clone Wars is back. And then this happened.
This would rank as one of the weakest arcs in Clone Wars, like up there with some of those season 1 arcs.
This
me.
feels like Star Wars Resistance.
No, I honestly, because if you honestly watch Clone Wars, right, there are some good arcs, and then there are some
Just really bad.
not
arcs.
so good arcs.
Boring.
And
boring
and
arcs.
this one honestly just feels completely pointless. In fact, when I watched it, right, because spoiler alert, they end up exactly where they started the episode, like the same situation, like they're in the same cell and everything.
Yeah.
With no hopes of getting out. The episode, all it does is just tease the Mandalorians are there. What upsets me about this is if these are the final episodes of Clone Wars,
Ever.
why are you wasting
time. Yeah.
doing this, right?
Yeah.
Like there are so many other stories you could do, so many other like interesting characters, and granted, Ahsoka is an interesting character, but this is not an interesting arc to introduce these two new characters who are going on about the Jedi not being great and everything. Like there's a better way to tell this type of story than kind of doing this. And that's I remember when I saw like that first episode of the Bad Batch one, I didn't love it because it's like, why are we introducing new elements into a show that's ending, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we be like talking? Shouldn't we be talking about like Asajj Ventress and like all these other
that'd be nice.
like all?
Wait, Asajj?
Isn't that her name?
Asajj.
Oh,
Yeah,
Asajj.
whatever, man. What a nerd.
And like General Grievous and getting.
I'm sorry, Asajj?
Wow. Wait, Arjuna, I just have one lyric for you. It's all about the spin-offs, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah, and these two characters are clearly been a spin-off.
Yeah, I
I hate
mean,
to admit it, but they are.
It's
and that's
super
annoying.
obvious that will end up being a spinoff.
No, I would not watch a spin-off of these two characters.
I will say this, and this just to kind of go again, play devil's advocate. I do think this was the the strongest episode and arguably the worst arc of Clone Wars ever. Only because the oldest sister, she actually had like two kind of funny lines that I actually laughed out loud. When she was like, "If I die, the family business is yours." I thought that was hilarious. I was
Wow,
like,
that
saying, was great.
That's like saying that this is the worst diarrhea of my series of diarrhea.
That's a perfect. That's a perfect.
Oh, it was only on the
analogy.
toilet for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It was the best one.
And I was, I only puked twice.
I mean,
right?
down to like the music choices. Like they're in this life. Like I get it. This is a children's show, but still, like
Spread of breath.
I don't know. Like you can't. Like I hate that argument because I went on Twitter and I made some comments about last week's Clone Wars episode, and I got a couple of DMs from people in the Star Wars community being like, "You're being negative," and like,
Yes.
yes,
I am.
And I'm like, yes, I'm a fan of the fucking series. Of course, I have a goddamn opinion.
Yeah.
But it's like you can't stand there or sit there and say it's a children's show and then be like, but what about the other 6 seasons of the Clone Wars? You could easily argue that is not a fucking kid show. You have clone troopers committing suicide. You have this insane like deep understanding and like conversation pieces about life and death and like what it means to be like there are major elements,
Adult themes.
like
Yeah.
you can't say it's a children's show and be like, oh,
And
yeah.
then that's your
And-
defense for
And
it.
then the fun
Yeah.
zany music of like the characters falling over and everything, like that's okay. Like that, no, that's
Yeah. They're going against the precedent that they set.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. you can present it as a kid show, but there are very adult, very real life themes which are poignant and they make you think, right? That go beyond its childish setting. And this arc completely, we have the first. I think the first time we even have that a little bit is in this episode when the sisters are talking about the Jedi who inadvertently kill their parents. And the only reason that's even a little bit interesting is I think she's talking about Caden's master.
And she's also talking about Cad Bane, like the red eyes. That's Cad Bane. That's an actual episode in Clone Wars where that situation actually happens.
That's right.
So that's what's really cool about it.
That's the only cool part of the episode.
But it's like, oh yeah, cool. We're referencing old seasons. Now give us a good story.
The other thing, I mean,
also, one other thing. How come they can't figure out that she's a Jedi? Like, how many things have to happen before we're like,
no, I'm going to defend that one because remember, this is a massive galaxy and there's tons and tons and tons of people, right? There's no way everybody understands what the Jedi powers are and what everybody is doing or how Jedi work because there's only a couple thousand to a couple million, billion, billion and billions aliens and species. So not everyone comes into contact with the Jedi. It also goes back to the whole idea of like, well, how is it by the time Luke is a young adult and talking to Obi-Wan Kenobi, the idea of a Jedi is like, oh, that was a long fucking time ago. Like, I think it's the same aspect, same idea. And then the other big interesting factor or thing that was shown to us was the Mandalorians, specifically Death Watch. Specifically, if I had to make a massive assumption, I'm going to assume it was Bo Katana, his character from Death Watch. And they're clearly on Pike Planet Central doing something
illegal.
Something illegal, but we were introduced to them, and they're clearly watching Ahsoka and her friends. That's probably where the interesting tie-in is going to be. So the fact that we see these characters, the fact that Ahsoka and them are locked up again, I think hopefully this is the last boring-ass episode, and we can get some cool shit happening, but, you know, you never know, right? You just don't know what's going to be.
Any time with the Mandalorian, the show, you think?
Oh, I think so. I think they've got it, and it would be such a waste if they didn't, especially with the next arc, because the next arc is Mandalorians, I'm sure
Darth Maul.
You know, there's been rumors coming out about the Mandalorian season 2, obviously about different bounty hunters showing up, different characters. Allegedly, Ahsoka Tano herself being cast live action with Rosario Dawson.
The voice actress, by the way, that does Ahsoka, she went out on social and basically said, I'm paraphrasing here, she said, hey, good job to Rosario. Very happy for you. It sucks that I'm not that character. The problem with that is she said that before any official Disney anything was put out. So she went and confirmed it before anybody else. Ooh. So she's in
deep doo-doo.
In the shit list.
She's never going to get work in this town again.
So she's never going to voice Ahsoka again, is what you're saying. And Rosario Dawson will be the new voice actress for Ahsoka.
How fucked up would that be, though? Like, we know that there's eventually going to be a Sabine and Ahsoka thing, I'm sure.
Could be a movie.
Could be a movie or with Ezra. Like, what if this is the last time she actually does anything with Ahsoka?
I mean, honestly, right? The Mandalorian is a good spot to test Rosario Dawson out as a live-action Ahsoka, and if she can continue her popularity, right? Because she's very popular for the animated, fans. Now, if you can get the Mandalorian fans to be like, "Oh my god, I love this character," then yeah, the next phase would be a movie, a solo movie or solo show, right? A solo Disney Plus show and a solo movie, and there's obviously tons of story to tell there. So
absolutely,
even though she might be dead, or most likely is dead,
or time travel
again.
So I'm just gonna blanket statement this one to kind of move things along here. Does anyone out of the three of us think that this episode was good? Say it right now. Go. Okay, so everyone thought this episode was bad. Okay, so I'll just say it real quick. What episode number was it?
Episode 7.
Did
we say it in unison?
Yes, right. No, we don't need that. So, Clone Wars, episode 7 from season 7. Was it good?
No.
Fuck no.
Oh, terrible.
Terrible. So, moving in to the newest social, cultural weird fucking craze, Tiger King.
Woo!
Tiger
We finally
King,
did it, guys.
Tiger
Rawr.
fucking King.
We're finally doing something relevant to social media.
Who gives a fuck what they think? So Tiger King, I'll start right off the bat by saying I didn't watch it,
All right, and you're done.
and I'm done.
No,
So
we should. Why? Why did you not watch it?
I do not like jumping into these kind of weird crazes where a couple of people, particularly the larger or more vocal social voices, are like, "Go and watch this show."
Like who?
Because blah blah blah. It picks up, right? Like there are a couple of people that I follow on social that I work with. They weren't interested in the show, and then all of a sudden, some other social influencers that they watched picked up on it. It started somewhere, and then it just spreads like wildfire.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I don't particularly go and watch a show based on social, like saying this is a really good one. I base watching a show on if the trailers and the content is interesting to me, and everything I've seen based on promotional material, trailers, and all that. It's just something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And I've heard the story is batshit crazy, and that's cool. I don't honestly think I'm going to ever bother watching it because I just don't have the energy, and I just don't care.
I mean, yeah, you have to have interest to watch something.
Yeah.
so.
Like, that's why I rewatch, like Parks and Rec or IT Crowd. I've seen that story a million fucking times. I love putting something on, just kind of zoning. With something like this, I'd actually pay attention. I don't really want to. But you two went and watched it. Or, Junior, you were actually live tweeting.
I did, yes. You can check me out at Jordyin Ramgopal to check out my live thoughts. It was interesting. I was definitely intrigued by. I was intrigued by what I saw for the trailers, and obviously a lot of people were talking about it. And it's very clear. If you're not hooked, or if you're not interested after the first 20 minutes, you're not going to be, right? Because it's a documentary that's all about twists and turns and all the batshit crazy theories out there. And the craziest one is it has to be Carol Baskin, right? It has to be the woman who is in charge of Big Cat Rescue, and the theory out there that she murdered her husband. And
It's the most memeable.
it's for sure. And it, I think what's interesting about the show is that these actual people are these kind of like zany characters that aren't likable, and are all pretty much terrible people, including Carol. Like I don't think she is very innocent in any of it. But we're not here to recap it. I think starting with Carol, is she guilty?
Is she guilty?
Did she murder her husband? Right. That's the question everybody's
I go
asking.
back and forth on this, Juna. I really do. Did she do it? Probably, but I can't get over the line when I forget which former associate it is of the husband.
Yes.
The missing husband, saying, "If I am able to pull this off, it'll be the greatest coup I've ever done." So there is a nugget of doubt there, and it's said by this associate. Did she do it? Yeah, she probably did. How did she do it? She put some she has a line in there where she even says it. You don't put cologne on someone, right, for a tiger to eat them. You do like sardine oil, right? The tiger's gonna eat the sardine oil. They're not gonna eat the fucking cologne.
Wait, real quick though, like, because I've seen this theory all over the place, and obviously
Sure.
I've not watched the documentary, but like,
Right.
we've all went to school for storytelling in some aspect, right? Are you sure it's just not the producers fucking with people in sense of pulling lines and creating a storyline?
No. So it is.
Okay.
It is.
No,
it
it's
is
a
an
legit thing,
It's
yeah.
it's an actual investigation that happened.
That was reopened by the sheriff.
The thing about it though, and the reason there is so much doubt is because all of the evidence come from all the other subjects in the documentary, and it's proven throughout this documentary. And this is what Carol Baskin herself said, that these characters or these people are not trustworthy. They're not good people. You can't really trust what they say.
So it's
right?
like an unreliable narrator.
Yeah, like Joe Exotic, for example, right? The main guy is in jail for trying to kill Carol Baskin and also, doing a lot of illegal things. And he's always claimed he's innocent. It's very clear he's not, right? He did breed cubs. That's caught on tape multiple times.
Yeah, he probably euthanized them.
Yeah, and he's like,
sold them. He
no,
admits to selling
I'm
them.
good. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you're trusting untrustworthy people, but when it's like a conspiracy documentary about aliens, right? When you hear the evidence, it's very compelling. There are a lot of there's a lot of unanswered questions with this case, and that's why I think a lot of people quickly point to Carol that, yep, she did it.
And fun nugget, the sheriff's office reopened the case after this Netflix special. They're like, all right, we've got to reopen this thing. There's enough evidence. There's enough evidence, or there's enough questions.
Isn't it kind of annoying, though, that we're living in an age now where if you want any kind of social justice, a fucking Netflix documentary has to, like, push it? Like,
Well,
very incompetent of our police enforcement.
To me, Tiger King has a lot of parallels to another famous Netflix murder documentary. Well, this isn't a murder documentary, but to a Netflix murder documentary, Making a Murderer, with Stephen Avery. I mean, the second season is based off of all of the implications that the first season had, and the reopening of the different cases and everything.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this is great for Netflix because that's at least a 2-3 season deal.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, all Netflix is doing is capitalizing on bad police work. To be very honest,
so
it's not
fucked.
it's not Netflix's fault, right?
No.
If cases are shut before they are, and there's a bunch of incompetent people running cases, it's not their fault. If there's a story there, go do it. In fact, you can make the argument without social media and Netflix, innocent people could go to jail, and at least with this sort of reality TV bubble that we live in, some innocent people might have a chance to get out with more eyes on it. So that's the kind of
And quick disclaimer here: we're not saying all police enforcement is incompetent. We're just saying that on occasion, shit falls through the cracks.
well, it's like the news, right? The news focuses on the sensational story, right? So people are
and
like,
disclaimer: we're not saying all news.
but no, it's like
we are saying that.
No. It's like there's a great stat that I always like to that I found out in school that is interesting to me, right? Everyone's like, crime is at an all-time high. No, crime is at an all-time low. Reporting on crime has increased 900% in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So literally every crime is now reported on versus 20 years ago when
the big crimes.
such a smaller fraction of crime was reported on.
Right.
And I think it's the same thing with these documentaries, right? Are all police work bad? No, probably the majority of it is good.
Most of it is good by
Yeah.
definition.
But the bad cases are what make compelling television, right? Because then you get all these questions with Carol Baskin, and you have people post on their Twitter, right, where when the mailman leaves the mail, that they have 2 slots, right? It's like, if Carol Baskin killed her husband, leave it here. If he didn't, leave it here. So we're like getting a straw poll of mailmen.
right.
This is a thing.
Yeah, there's like someone did that on Twitter. Like
the fuck?
like everybody has an opinion on if Carol Baskin killed her husband, right?
Yeah.
So you guys would say then this is the new Making a Murderer for like this
Absolutely.
the next 6 months to 12 months at least, because Making a Murderer like went boinkers. And then it hit the season 2, and it's kind of definitely fallen off. Like, nobody really gives a fuck anymore.
No, I would say because of the times we live in, and there's people are trying to pump out more and more content. I think people are moving from content quickly enough. Like Tiger,
This will be a thing for like a month,
I mean,
maybe 2.
it's the fever pitch has already died down, right? Like
Yeah.
we're the fever pitch was last week.
Yeah.
In
fact, we're
on to the next thing.
We're living in such unique times where anything that does catch hold, because everyone can watch it immediately now because they have nothing better to do, you're going to see a huge crescendo for anything, and it's gonna be over in a week because everyone's seen it, everyone's reacted, everyone's given an opinion. But one of the characters from Tiger King, Mr. Jeff Lowe, playboy, drug dealer, maybe sex trafficker, who knows, he's involved in everything, came out and said, I believe, online that Netflix will be dropping another episode next week. Netflix has not confirmed this as of right now, as far as I believe. No one else has confirmed this. Only Jeff Lowe, one of the central characters in Tiger King, because apparently they were coming over, I think, today to film it with him.
Right.
So wait, do we think this is real, or do you think this is, to your point, where the hype train is leaving so quickly? Do you think this is just a hype?
If I know Jeff Lowe, and I don't, I only watched him for 7 episodes on Tiger King.
So
I think it's
7 hours.
Not even. He didn't show up until the 4th episode.
Right.
So it's like 3 episodes.
If I had to deduce it, it's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening. There is no
guy's
documentary. The guy blows more hot air than anyone we've ever. He can turn air into money. He'll take anything. He can take anything, and through lies, manipulation, and just being the very definition of a bully, can get whatever he wants. He's one of the worst people you've ever met.
Yeah.
Or
This
one of the
is
worst
a-
people you've never met.
Yeah, so Ravi, just to give you some background on Jeff Loeb, this is a guy that would smuggle tiger cubs into Vegas in zipper, in luggage bags, bring them up to hotels, and then lure women up to play with the cats and then play with him.
Have orgies. Barry's like, I don't have a problem with that.
So
Yes. Tiger King.
I'm gonna wrap Tiger King real quick. So guys, would you say Arjuna Krishna was Tiger King season one good?
I have a feeling we have different answers.
Okay, say them at the same time. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
No.
Okay, so Arjuna said no. Krishna said yes.
Maybe I go first because I think
Yeah.
I'm the typical
Why
answer.
did you say yes?
The reason it was good is that it's compelling. There's a lot of drama. The characters.
So you're a drama queen.
Well, when I watch something, I want drama. Yeah. Unlike Westworld, the characters had more than one dimension to them. Right. That's because they're real people. It's a lot easier to act as a real person. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But it was compelling. Nobody was totally black and white. Mostly dark. Mostly evil people. But there were still shades of gray in there. Right. There was like legit mysteries, and it wasn't just one mystery. There was like 3 legit twists that you just don't see coming. You're like, the story just takes some turns that you never see coming. 7 episodes was a perfect amount of episodes. If it had gone longer, I think I would have lost patience. But 7 episodes to me wrapped it up nicely. And yeah, I was entertained. I was totally entertained the whole time.
To me, the documentary. The reason I say it's not good is I think the documentary lost steam about halfway through. I think the last few episodes they had a compelling story, but I think they released it too early. I think there's more to this story. And when you watch the last episode, I was like, it just kind of ended. And I was like, what? Like, it's just kind of dangling there. And that's because the story is still going, right? Like, they've caught up to 2020, and now they've just decided, like, okay, let's release this documentary. Meanwhile, I think they should have waited. And and that's what I don't like. If there's another episode coming out, it's like, well, why didn't you wait until that episode was done, right? It feels like you're just kind of, and we're caught up, and that's it, right?
Well, do you think, going back to this whole claim that there's another episode coming, and even to what you're saying right now, 7 episodes sounds weird, in the Netflix structure and wheelhouse.
Well, this is the thing though. It's not. They don't go in scripting it. They just go in. They shoot.
No.
And they have to divide it up.
Right. But typically, though, a Netflix documentary series, like Making a Murderer and all the other weirdo ones they've done, it's typically 4 10 episodes. That's how they
4 or 10.
Yeah, that's how they structure their docu-series.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, because of the Corona crap, I'm calling it Corona crap, did they release it early because they needed content?
Potentially. But then also, to go against what you're saying, is you could go that way. You could wait. But then what if you're waiting for 10 years and nothing happens? So to me, I look at this 2 ways. One, can you imagine being the fucking documentary crew around these group of people? You would have nightmares.
Sure.
Okay, there's only so much any kind of documentary crew can do around this before they just start having breakdowns.
Yeah,
because they're putting their own lives in danger, with some of the shit that was going on. So at some point, you have to draw the line and be like, all right, we've got enough. If there's more, we can release it. Netflix, you can do that, right? It's not. This isn't like the old days on cable television when you have a set time, and it's how many episodes and syndicated, whatever. So at some point, I look at it as they drew the line. They're like, he's in jail, he's guilty. This guy has the park. Okay, I think that's a good ending point.
Here's my counter to that, right? Why bring up all these storylines if you're going to drop them halfway through? Dr. Ankle, right? Ankle?
Oh,
the Florida doctor.
Mr. Bhagavan.
Yeah.
Bhagavan. Well, he wasn't. He's not a story.
He is
his context.
No. He is a story because that's how they present it in it. They bring up the fact about how shady his cult is, right? And then they drop it there. They bring up all these different characters and they just drop them. To me, if you're doing a documentary, right, what you present, it has to be laser focused. And the beauty of this documentary, right, is all these different storylines. In fact, they start the documentary by going about how they were doing a story on snake selling in Florida or something, and then they caught on to the Joe Exotic story, right?
Yes.
So then they shifted that it was about Joe Exotic. But this documentary is not just about Joe Exotic, right?
Right.
You bring in all these other players, and it just feels like, yes, Joe Exotic has a through line for this documentary. He starts out here, and you see his descent into going into jail. But then you add in all of these other characters, and you just kind of dropped them halfway through. And that to me is where they messed up in the documentary. Yes, it makes sensational television, but from a story and a documentary standpoint, it is incomplete, and that's why I did not like it.
Sure, I understand that. To me, though, I never looked at them as storylines per se. I looked at a lot of that stuff as context. Some of it was storylines, but to me, Bhagavan, that guy, he was never a storyline. He was providing a context. This guy is the foil to Joe Exotic. This is what Joe Exotic wants to be. This is where he's getting some of his advice. They even work together on some things.
Sure.
To me, he's not a he was never presented to me as a story. He was presented as here's context. Here's the other side of what Joe Exotic is trying to do. A successful, really weird dude.
But what about Carol Baskin? Like, she has a whole episode dedicated to.
She's in it the whole time.
Right, but again, that's like another storyline to me that's just dangling.
But if there's nowhere else to go with it, what are you supposed to do?
But there,
make up the end?
No, but what I'm saying is, right? Were filming this documentary for years and years, right? So they could have released a documentary in 2018, right? When his presidential and governor campaign ended, right? Well, there's a natural ending. Like, he's failed. He's lost the zoo.
I think it makes more sense. Carol Baskin's won. He ended up in jail. Her whole thing was to shut him down, and she did. Her storyline is the most complete.
Sure.
She won. She's safe. Well, now she's not.
Yeah,
But in terms of this 7 episodes, I felt like she was pretty complete. Because she ends up at the end, she's just like smiling. She's like, yeah. You know, I can finally relax. I don't have a killer after me.
Either way, it's fascinating that you guys care so much about terrible people. That being said, let's talk about something to wrap up everything. Let's talk about the 2 shows you two have been watching. Christian, you just recently finished.
Just rewatched all of The Office before it gets taken off of Netflix.
Is that why you did it?
No, I actually didn't find that out until I think season 8. When I was watching season 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, season 8 of The Office. I knew
because it's being put onto the Peacock.
Yeah, NBC, which I don't know if we're
Peacock
getting.
app.
The what?
Peacock.
Okay. Way to bleep that. Do you have a favorite after rewatching all 8 seasons?
Or 9.
9 seasons?
Do I have a favorite season?
Favorite season or favorite episode?
Favorite? Oh, Jesus.
Favorite season, then.
No. Actually, so here, real quick, only thing I have to say about The Office is that I definitely agree. First 4, 5 seasons are the best. It's one of the best television you've ever seen. And the first time I watched this, I was definitely in the consensus that the rest of the seasons are shit. They're such bad. It's so different. But I will say on a rewatch, I actually appreciate the last 5 seasons a lot more. They're very different, but they're very funny in their own way. It's almost like 2 completely different shows.
Especially once Michael leaves.
Yeah, once Michael leaves, it's totally different, and it will never be as good. No one can ever say that. But it's weird enough. It gets really weird where it can exist as its own. You can enjoy it on its own without comparing it because it feels that different to me. So I was able to enjoy a lot more this time. Like the whole thing with James Spader. I really enjoyed that a lot more this time. He's so weird. It's great. Robert California. Like
this was right before he did Age of Ultron.
Oh yeah.
Too.
Oh man.
Right before.
Like literally like a week before.
It's so and those they're just so weird. I like
So
it.
speaking about Michael Scott, one of the writers on The Office recently came out with an autobiography and he's been revealing a lot of details about The Office, and the most fascinating detail to me was Steve Carell didn't want to leave the show.
Yeah.
Steve Carell wanted to re-up with the show, and apparently NBC, right around the time of season 7, got a new president that didn't care about The Office, and Steve Carell and his agent were just waiting. They're like, yep, we're going to re-sign. We love the show. We're going to do it. Waiting to re-sign. Never got an offer. His contract expired, and he was out.
And that was it.
Yep. That, to me, is insane.
Yeah.
You had the chance to, continue with this this actor who was blowing up at the time, was was in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
He was still willing to do your show, and you didn't even give him an offer. It's just mind-numbing.
At least lowball him.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Exactly. At least let him reject you.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
Have him, cover your ass,
But
right?
that's just wild to me.
Yeah, that's insane.
And then Arjuna, you were watching My Hero Academia this season?
Yeah, so the 4th season just wrapped this past Saturday, was the season finale, and damn, it was incredible. It actually focused on in the show. There's a hero ranking, and there's a new number one hero.
They did a power rankings in an anime show.
So there's in their world, right? There are heroes, and the heroes are ranked. There's a new number one hero, and he officially is the new number one hero. And the last few episodes did.
Arjuna is called a power ranking.
No, it's not a power ranking.
Yeah,
Hero rankings.
and it has
Power ranking.
Nope.
So the new number one hero had this epic fight with this creature that they call a Nomu, and I honestly thought he was dead. Like it looked like
Wait, the flame guy?
yeah, Endeavor. Sorry, these are spoilers.
Yeah. No, which is fine. I need to watch it.
And he has this epic fight like in one of the towns that was just a really well done fight. One of the best anime fights I've ever seen. Packed, you guys have watched enough animes. You know, like the best fights. Great action, great emotion, great dialogue. Had all three. Great stuff. I'm really sad that the season's over, but very excited for season 5.
I need to watch
Nice.
that. I'm looking
Nice,
forward.
nice, nice.
Good plug.
Well, folks, that's the end of this podcast for Was It Good? You can tune into us every Tuesday is when the podcast drops. You can find us on Twitter at Was It Good? On Twitch on Twitch, twitch.tv/wasitgood. We do stream the podcast the Monday or the day before, so definitely check it out if you want to ask questions.
And then we release the full VOD on Facebook and YouTube on Tuesday as well when the audio pod drops.
If you, for some weird fucking reason, want to watch us, creeper. Beyond that, I think that's going to do it for us.
Wow. Week 1 in the books.
It's like week 70.
Wow. Week 1 of the new weekly format.
Stay safe, stay strong, and stay the fuck at home.